Welcome back to the Fit Dad Club podcast. My name is Travis Jones. I'm here with Jason Barrett, and I'm back after a hiatus from the podcast, not out of want, but sometimes out of need. I've been pretty hectic with getting a lot of the dads on board with getting them results, but I'm back because I missed it. I missed talking to you, Jace. How you doing, buddy?
I'm doing good, man. I've missed having you here. Having someone else to bounce off makes the podcasts longer and more informative rather than 9 to 10 minutes of me just ranting and rambling on a subject and then being like, well, no one's here to give me anything else. So I'll see you guys next week.
What's going on?
It's good to have you back.
Awesome, man. And guys, everyone listening, I missed you. I'm back. Don't worry. We just had to make a better day. We've actually shifted the day we're recording now. So I have the time to make sure I do it because things just... Your day squeezes sometimes, right? It just squeezes. The time you want and the time you have. As you all know, sometimes with health and fitness, it tends to escape you, except I just don't let that escape me. I just let the podcast escape me for about 4 weeks. But today, Jace, we're talking about FIFO fitness. I think this is a big thing. If you were a FIFO dad where you're flying in, fly out, I said that to one of the American clients the other day. He's like, what's FIFO? And I was like, okay, well, this is what it is. But if we look at it, guys, there's so many of you out there, whether you're on a rig, whether you're going to the mines or whatever you're doing, and it doesn't matter if it's a 2-on-1 or a 2-on-2 or one of my dudes is an 8-and-4 roster. So I think everyone has, it's a tough one. Everyone has different constraints it's a brutal one. Different constraints, but you all have similar constraints as a FIFO dad. And I think what we have to look at is we have to understand those constraints and work with it. So I think for us, one is nutrition tracking, one is training, one is how to be the best version of you as soon as you get home, and also how to maintain. I think that's a big thing. And honestly, just being the best version of you, right? As a dad coming back off swing when you're probably pretty drained. I know some of the guys I coach, their rosters are super hectic. And when they get back, they're pretty tired and pretty low on the energy side of things. So, coming back and being the best version of them as a dad is tough at times. And we have a good couple of protocols that we put in place that help them they want to show up better and it just helps them show up better as a dad. So that's what we are going to cover today, guys. And how to fit it in. When we jump on these calls with these dads who do want to, change their life as a FIFO dad, they have lots of obstacles that they think it's a permanent obstacle that they can't actually overcome. Like, I don't control my food, right? And I was like, dude, I wish I walked into a Bain Marie every day and there was a lot of choice. I didn't have to.
100%. For me, I'm like, I would be sick of like the super calorie dense options after like a week. I would fucking have my fill, be like one of the kids from Willy Wonka, the kid drinking the chocolate until it's too much. I'm like, cool.
Augustus Gloop, I think that's his name.
It's all for fuel.
Exactly.
Yes. Yeah, I would gloop it up.
So I think what sometimes we can see is like the negatives. They can also be positives if we allow. And, I guess some gyms are different, right? Like as well in the different areas. So it's just making sure that we can overcome those issues as well. But hey, that's what the podcast is today. So when we're looking at it, as we know, there's an overarching philosophy. If you're listening to this podcast and you want to lose weight, and, that means we need to be burning more calories than we're consuming, okay? To lose a kilo of fat requires a 7,700 calorie deficit. If you're burning calories and you're burning 3,000 calories a day and we're consuming 2,000 calories a day, you're going to lose about a kilo a week, okay? So what we have to understand is, what does that look like as a nutrition sense for a FIFO dad? And that means what we will generally do with our guys is we'll give them a structure and an understanding of how to eat food when on site or on the rig, and we'll give them a structure on how to eat food when you're at home, because different environments create different choices and different triggers, which then create different choices and keeping the weight on. So I think having a structure, especially when you're on site, because it is so routine, is a big thing that we want to lean to. So we want to go, okay, what can I do for breakfast? And I think that's a big thing. How can I start my day with protein? And I know that some places there's like eggs, sausages, bacon, all the rest of it. And you're like, oh yeah, I've got all this food. Just because you have all the food doesn't mean you need to eat it. We don't need to eat the food just because it's there, guys. I think what we do need is we need to go, well, I want to start my day with somewhat of a 300 to 450 calorie meal that has a minimum of 30 grams of protein. Okay. So for yourself, you might be able to get some poached eggs. It could be like, I'm going to have 3 poached eggs with the yolks. I'm going to have 2 poached eggs without the yolks. I'm going to have a piece of toast, right? And we know we're going to get 30 grams of protein in that, and it's good to go. And we got our toast and we've got a bit of carbohydrates. We mop that up. And that's what you do for breakfast. and it's simple and it's executable every single day. I think that's a big thing for us. I know you have the salad bars for a lot of the places you go out there as well. So it's like with lunches, it's like I'm going to grab 100 grams of ham, I'm going to grab some salad, I'm going to throw it in a wrap, I'm going to have that for lunch. Okay, that is my go-to lunch. And if not, it's like we teach our guys, you're not going to walk around on site, like one of my dudes does, but most of you, okay, 99% of you, are not going to bring a food scale on site. Okay, so we want to go, okay, how do I know what is going to be, a palm of protein is 120 grams of protein, right? So we can track that inside our app, and I think tracking is still crucial for us all. So I was like, okay, I'm allowed, 2 palms of protein or 1.5 palms of protein for lunch. Okay, that's 180 grams, and you still track it, 180 grams. Is it accurate to the T? No. But is it more accurate than just eating whatever the fuck you want? Yes. Okay, so I think we go, okay, well, my lunch is going to be 180 grams of protein, measured out by palm thickness and size, 1.5 palms. I know that I want to have 2 fists of veg, which is going to be about, 150 grams of veg, okay, with that or salad. And I know I want a cupped hand of carbohydrates, which is about 100 grams. So you're going to measure that out.
Don't just reach into the Babe Marie of rice with your hand. Yeah.
Don't do that.
Estimate.
It's frowned upon. Do not put your hands inside it.
Also, so wash your hands. In the mines, big red dirt, just like, oh yeah, red rice.
So I think if you look at it, it's like, okay, well, 2 palms of protein or 1.5 palms of protein, that's 180 grams. I want 2 fists of veg, that's 150 grams, right? I want a cupped hand of carbohydrates, that's 100 grams. And that's whether it's potato, sweet potato, rice, right? And okay, that's how I'm going to track my food. And because I can track my food, I have control over what I eat now. I know if I track that inside my app, because what we measure, we manage, I know that lunch was 500 calories or 600 calories. And then you go for dinner time, you might track and say, I'm going to have 2 palms of protein, right, for dinner. Okay, cool. I got like 240 grams of protein, or 240 grams, of like chicken breast here. Go to the ones without the sauces. There's normally like a meat option, like there's a chicken option, and maybe there's a fish option, and some of it's covered in a bunch of sauce. So just stay away from that option. I think the ability, what we're looking for is the ability to track, right? Even if you're loosely tracking, it's better than not tracking. And what my guys will start to do is like, okay, I understand the system now. Because the problem is when there's a lack of structure, there is generally no structure, okay? And we start to feel out of control. And when we feel out of control, we default to bad choices, and then we'll go to the dessert section. We'll just have 23 desserts. I think that
shot glasses of chocolate mousse, one after the other.
Oh, dude, 100%. I think with that, Jace, as well, right? Like sometimes when you're so structured when you're on site and there's a specific amount of meals, when you get home and there's all the options, we tend to, and also you're next to the fridge a lot on those 7 days off or 2 weeks off, right? Your ability, you're not eating at 5 a.m. and 11 a.m. and, snack at 4 p.m. and dinner and the mess at like, it's 5:30 or whatever time you guys are doing on site where you are. There's so much structure around that, you can't eat between it. But when you're at home, there is a lack of structure. So then you have this constraint lifted off you. So we tend to overeat. And a lot of the time you're at home, because, your partner's at work or whatever it is, and you're at home with a fridge with a lot of time on your hands. So we either drink alcohol or we eat food, right? Because just, that's what happens. So I think, creating a structure when you're at home, that's not exactly the same as the structure when you're at work, but meal times maybe. I'm going to wake up, I'm going to have my breakfast. Maybe you have it with the kids, and I'm going to have these for lunches. Maybe you cook something different, but I eat at 12, right? I'm going to have this for dinner. It's going to be family friendly. Structure, like discipline equals freedom in health. I think the ability to create structure in an unstructured environment when you get home is the difference between, when I talk to a lot of my guys, they would go really well when they're on site. And then when they get home, shit hits the fan because they lose the environmental structure that it created. And then all of a sudden they put weight back on when they go back home. When reality is you have more time when you go back home. So you should be able to actually accelerate the results. But generally doesn't happen. What do you think, Jace?
I think, there's a couple things. Number one, even if you're not able to like specifically track the palm stuff, whatever, when you're on site, the key is, right, that your serving sizes are pretty much the same, right? So even if your 2 palms or palm and a half ends up being 200 grams, like it doesn't matter. As long as you're consistent with it, when you reduce, you still reduce, right? Whether you're reducing from, 2,000 calories to 1,800, or you're reducing from 1,800 to 1,600, it's still 200 calories a day that you're reducing by, which is still going to have the same effect, which is the same reason why I'm like, if you're consistent with how much oil you use in your cooking, if you're consistent with how much, broccoli and carrot and stuff you tend to eat, you don't have big, massive spikes and slumps, you don't have to worry necessarily about tracking it because your overall intake will vary with it based on what you're cutting out anyway. So having a rule, having routine and sticking to it is like, it's the weekend problem for every dad, but it's extrapolated and it's magnified because for a lot of dads, the weekend is structured by our partners, right? It's like, all right, we've got this event on this day, we've got swimming on, and we've got to do these things. They're all like our kids, right? And the things that they've got on. I just fucking rock up and I wait for my wife to tell me where we're going and what we're doing, even though she's already told me 6 times. She loves it. She loves to be able to remind me of all of the plans that she's already told me about, and so I can get mentally prepared for them. But you don't have that during the week. Your wife is at work, your kids are at school, or they're at daycare, or whatever's going on. So you need to have that as trust. You've got to impose a level of structure, and it's easy to go, I'll just get around to it later. There's a quote I love, things are easy to do, they're also easy not to do. Yeah. It's easy to go for a walk in the morning. It's also easy to fucking sit on your phone and scroll for an hour and a half. It's easy to go to the gym when you've got the whole day to do it in, but it's also easy not to do because you go, I'll just go a bit later. Oh, fuck, it's school pickup time. Haven't got time anymore. Now it's like the bed, bath, book rush that I've got to go through. I'm not going to get time to train today. Oh, I could just train tomorrow. I can meal prep tomorrow. I can do these things tomorrow. Like fucking tomorrow never comes, right? Structure and rigidity and, knowing this is what I'm going to do. As Trevor's saying, I eat at 12. If I'm at home alone and I've got no fucking plans, I've got nothing going on, I start prepping my lunch at 11:30 and I eat at 12, right? I had a guy who I used to work with when I was a surveyor who would religiously, like 11:30 would be lunch because we start at 8:30 and then we would finish at like 4:30. So it's like, that would be roughly the times it would start. So he's like, cool, 11:30, 12 is like, as soon as that happens, we have lunch. Wait, halfway into the work day is when we have lunch. In the middle of something, I don't care. That's when we're going to go do lunch. It's like that fucking rigidity works for him. And you've got to have that structure when you get home too. And you've got to really impose it. You've got to write it down. You've got to know, when are you going to train? When are you not going to train? It's not, I can get around to it eventually, because eventually never comes. So like rigidity and structure is key when you're coming home.
I completely agree. And I think that leads into that training side of things, right? A lot of the guys will be like, I train really well on site, or some guys are even intimidated to train on site. And that's another, issue we have to overcome. But I think one is, you want to know exactly what you're doing when you're going into the gym on site. Okay. So having a plan in place to go, I'm doing this exercise, it stops the overwhelm. Or it's still, even if you had a long day and you can't be bothered and you sort of just default to the easiest exercises that you're used to, which aren't maybe the best exercises for you as well. I think it's having a plan and having something there that you can focus on, and it's based on where you're at. I think that is a key thing. So that's one. And also having a minimum standard of workouts per week when you're away. So it's like, you might not get it in every day, but there's a minimum standard you hit each week when you're away. So I think that's one thing. And then what happens to a lot of guys when they're at home, again, with the lack of structure, as Jason was just saying, like the amount of time, it just all of a sudden zaps away, right? It's like, I've got all day, but you're trying to catch up on some chores when you're at home to help out the missus and the family. But then all of a sudden you go, I'm not going to train this morning because I'll do it later. And then later never comes. So I think for ourselves, we still want to use implementation intentions is what it's called when we're at home, right? So there was a study which was like, when people say they're going to do a thing at a time at a place, 90% likely to do it, rather than if they just say, hey, motivation, I'm going to train, it's the 30% likely. So because the 30% likely zaps with time. So I think if we know when we're at home, and again, it doesn't have to be the same program. A lot of the guys will have FIFO programs and home-based programs because equipment will vary, and you might be wanting to train at home. So at home, you might be training with a set of dumbbells or even body weight, but you're still creating the I train 3 times a week because that's who I am. And is it most optimal? No, but is it more successful than not training? Then yes. Okay, so let's not look at what's most optimal. Let's look at what the constraints you have inside your life and just do the thing, because imperfect action is better than perfect inaction. I don't have the perfect gym to train at, so I'm not going to train at all, right? That is the most ridiculous statement, right? So I think we want to train because it's who we are. We want to be the fit dad. So I think it's having like a structure you do at home, and it might be 30-minute sessions when you do at home. It could be a little bit of cardio in there as well. And then when you're on site, you have maybe more equipment availability. So this is what I do on site. And, every 2 weeks I do this program. Every 2 weeks when I'm at home, I do this program. And it's like, I do it first. I walk the kids to school. I drop the kids at school. Then I go and train. At 9 o'clock, I train every time when I'm at home. Why? Training is a domino effect. It is the domino that knocks over the other dominoes. So you have a more successful day, right? We tend to make better choices once we train because it increases our endorphins. I think when I'm looking at training as a FIFO dad, that's how I would want to execute.
100%. Like committing to that minimum standard. We've talked about minimum standard time and time again. As I said, it's so much easier to hit that standard when you are not, you don't have all this free time to test your willpower and to test when you do and don't do things, because that's kind of a little mini battle you're fighting every day, every minute of, should I go to the gym, should I not? Oh, I'll go now. Oh, I'll just do this. Oh, like you're constantly eating away at that reservoir of willpower to just go and get it done. Whereas if you get it done first thing in the morning, you have your set times. Cool, I train 3 times a week. If I don't have the capacity, as you said, I'll do something so I'm at least ticking that box. Then you're not constantly fighting that battle. You have more energy for your kids. You probably have less impatience when they get home or when you see them, because you've done something for you and you've ticked the box and you've moved the needle forward. You haven't just sat around on your ass all day. Like, you've felt good about it too. So having structure, having key like minimum standards that you do hit when you're home, even if it's the same thing like with meals. Like, I know there's like this juxtaposition. Some guys like, oh, I can't eat the same thing all the time. If you're working, you're probably not working FIFO if you've got that mentality, to be honest. But if you do, good luck. It's like, oh, I just can't eat the same thing. It's like, oh, cool. Then fucking rotate 3 different things that you do, so you're not eating the same thing one day after the other. Use fucking sriracha sauce instead of teriyaki sauce on the chicken next time you marinate. Whatever. Like, there's easy ways to create variety in what you're having, but just have the same sort of shit each day. And then, like, what I recommend for a lot of my guys, even if they're not FIFO, is breakfast and lunch in the same. Keep them lean, keep them tight, so that you've got more room for dinner. If the kids want to do homemade pizzas, or you're doing burgers, or you're doing whatever, you give yourself that room and that flexibility. Or if it's like, oh, we're going to go out for dinner to the pub for a meal on Friday. Cool, I've got a bit more room, so I can have the steak and chips instead of just the steak and veg, or I can have the fucking chicken breast with the creamy mushroom gravy, whatever. Like, you've got room for those things. You've got room for flexibility because you've been rigid where it matters.
Man, I agree. I think so. That's the nutrition component looked at. It's the training component looked at. I think the next thing is definitely the mindset component. I think there's a couple of things that come down with mindset. It's probably not a podcast we'll go all into today, but I think there's a couple of key things that my guys do that really have helped them out. One is the first 24-hour protocol. So it's like the first 24 hours when you get home are the most important 24 hours. It sort of sets your week up, or it sets you 2 weeks up for success. And I've talked to a couple of them when they get home. It's kind of like a long haul flight sometimes, right? You get home, you're batshit tired, and you just want to like lounge, chill out, maybe eat some food and have a nap, right? And then that sort of is a carry-on effect, and all of a sudden you're 3 days into your week off, and you're like, "What the hell have I done?" Because it's hard to build momentum. With a long haul flight, when you arrive in the city you get to, you want to stay up until that night is done. So you sort of get back into circadian rhythms as fast as you can. So what we try and do is we try and look at, what does that first 24 hours look like for you to be successful in your health, your relationships as a dad, with your food. And it's like, let's create it. And some of the guys will get home at 10 a.m. It's like, oh, I'm pretty tired. It's like, dude, I need you to fight through it. I want you to get a workout in as soon as you get home. I don't care how hard it is, or like, I mean, when I say how hard, what intensity level that you do that workout in. I just want you to do a workout, because mentally it's going to set your frame. Then if you go and pick your kids up from school, I want you to pick them up and maybe go for a walk with them, when you get home. So it's like just, spending some time, feeling good, getting out there. And then you have dinner and make sure it's a good dinner. And then you go to bed, and it sort of created that time back. You feel good, you're not low frequency, you're not down, you're having good conversations, you're being present in the moment, and you're setting up the rest of the week for success. I think, so that's one thing. It's like a first 24-hour protocol, and everyone's going to be different, right? So the next guy, always going to be different, but you need to create what your first 24 hours looks like as a FIFO dad when you get home. Okay, I think it is so crucial, and then we want to nail that because we know it helps you with the next 6 days or 13 days. I think the next thing is, it's probably just a bit of alcohol consumption as well. And I'm not saying you can't drink. I'm just saying that like a lot of guys, when we've minimized the level of drinking on their off swing, it's really helped them stay focused with their health and fitness and allow them to feel really good. So I think it's like maybe putting minimum and maximum. We talk about, again, standards, or we look at a ceiling and we look at a floor. Okay, you know, I'll have 2 to 4 drinks on a day, and that is where I'll sit between. Or maybe it's 1 to 3, or maybe you don't have them for the first 3 days you're home. Like, I don't know, but I think we all need to create these standards that we live by, that are the version of us who is the best version of us. Like, if I was trying to live as the best version of me, how many alcoholic drinks would I have on a daily basis when I'm on my off swing, so I can be present as a father, energetic as a dad, be a great partner, okay, and feel good so I can train. Okay, then that's the amount of drinks that we have, right? Unless it's like an event or anything like that specific, it's like, that's my guidelines, that's my guardrails I live between. I think, you know, that flip the switch protocol and minimum maximum standards, or floor and a ceiling as far as alcohol intake, that really helps you maintain a higher level of frequency so you can show up as the best version of you. I was talking to one of my clients the other day, and he's like, 9 weeks into the program, he's, 13.5 kilos down, flying, right? But because he's dropped the alcohol and he's dropped the weight, he's like, man, I didn't realize the dad I was versus the dad I am already within like 9 weeks. I have energy. I'm running with my kids. I'm more emotionally available for my partner. I'm not like down when I get home. Like, the 24-hour protocol has actually allowed me flip into dad mode faster. So I'm there engaging. I'm just a better fucking dad, right? And that's what he said. He's like, man, I don't like. It's like, and it's basically nearly his goal weight. It's 1.5 kilos of his goal weight in 2 months into the program.
Easy.
And he's like, yeah, literally. He's like, let's lose the last 10. I didn't think I could do it, but let's do it. I was like, yeah, man, we'll crush it. He's like, but anything, man, I'm just the dad I wanted to be, like, my whole life. I'm it already, because I've changed the way I look at things, and everything in my family has changed because of it. And my wife has noticed how much more present and engaged I am as a dad, because I have control of my life again. And I think, man, like, that's why we do this. So I think creating the structure around the food, the 24-hour protocol, the alcohol, the training, allows you to feel in control on those off weeks, which allows you to be in control for your family, which is why I know anyone listening, that's who you want to be. I think that's the crucial aspect, Jace.
Yeah, you don't want to live life by default when you get back.
Yeah.
But the default is, I go have beers. The default is I do this. You want to go, it's starting with the end in mind. What end am I trying to achieve? Like, what is the reason why I'm doing this? I want to be the best dad, the most present dad that I can be. Is having, 5-6 beers on a day helping that or hindering that? Is it moving me towards what I want or away from what I want? Because there's no such thing as neutral behaviors. There's no such thing as neutral relationships. Things are either moving you forward towards what you want, or they're moving you away. And you just got to be honest and take stock of, like, have I been doing that? It's not about guilt. It's not about shame. It's not about you should be doing it. It's, do you want to do it? And if you want to do it, then it's your sign to take action. And it's your sign to go, cool, I might need some help and support with that. And that's okay. Having other people help provide some structure, provide some accountability to sort of get that foot in the door and go, all right, I can make this happen myself. Yeah, you could be the dad that you want to be in 9 weeks. It's very easy. You could be 10, 15 kilos lighter. You could be showing up for your kids, running around with them, being present with them, playing with them, getting down on the floor with them, doing all the things that they want you to do. You could be doing that, right? Like, that could be simply enough. That could be where you're at if you start imperfectly and you just start making the changes that you can, and you put your head down and you start moving towards it.
Well, guys, that's how to be the best version of you as a fit dad. That's a FIFO dad. If you want to get help, guys, go to fit-dad.club, book in a call. Let's have a chat about where you are and where you want to be, and let's help close that gap. We'll jump on the phone and we'll help create a plan, right? A plan that fits in with your life. Like I said, every single one of our guys is different, and our plans are specific for you and your needs. It's not cookie cutter. It's not, whatever it is that, you can download off the internet. It's your constraints, your foods you like, your life you have, and we create a plan that fits in with that, that's sustainable to get the transformation that you want, so you can be the best version of you for your family. So go to fit-dad.club. I'll be back here for another episode next week. Jace, thank you. I appreciate today, mate.
No worries, man. It was always good to have you on. And we'll see you guys next week.
See you next week, guys. See ya.
Peace out.